Honorable Colonel Charles Jr., Member of Parliament and Minister of Housing, Urban Renewal, Environment and Climate Change, Mr. Paris Leowai, CD, Chairman, Jane Foundation, members of the media, members of the Jane Foundation team, directors of the board of the Jamaica National Foundation, and members of the Jane Group, good morning. I'm Claudine Allen. I'm General Manager for the Jane Foundation, and I am absolutely thrilled to be with you today to talk about our Water Summit 2021 to be held right here in Kingston, Jamaica on May 13 and 14. Thank you for joining us for this launch. The summit is very timely as small island developing states such as Jamaica are especially vulnerable to the effects of climate change. The Jane Foundation, through the Jane Water Project, and key partners such as the Inter-American Development Bank, have organized this upcoming summit, which will be hosted in May, as I mentioned earlier. The event is going to explore matters related to water availability and housing, water and policy, water as a commodity, urban development, water security, food security, and the Caribbean. The water project for the past 4 years has focused on water efficiency at the domestic level while advocating for matters relating to housing development. We have some key persons here who will give an insight into what we can expect from the summit and to speak on the matter of water, water scarcity, and resource management. First, I'm going to invite our chairman, Mr. Paris Leowai, to bring remarks to us this morning and to talk to the matter of water conservation and water management. Mr. Leowai.
Ms. Claudine Allen, General Manager, Jamaica National Foundation, Honorable Colonel Charles, Minister of Housing, Urban Renewal, Environment and Climate Change, you're in the right place today. Members and staff of the JN Foundation and JN National Group, ladies and gentlemen from the media houses, and all our friends in Zoomland, good morning. It is really my great pleasure to bring greetings on behalf of the JN Foundation at this launch of the JN Climate Change, Sustainability and Innovation Summit, with emphasis on water, so it will be a virtual water summit. The upcoming summit is timely and fitting, as the General Manager said earlier. The recently released World Meteorological Organization, WMO report on the state of global climate highlights accelerating climate change indicators and worsening impacts. The report shows that 2020 was another unprecedented year of extreme weather and climate disasters, with similar projections, unfortunately, for 2021. It shows record high greenhouse gas concentrations, increasing land and ocean temperatures, sea level rise, melting ice, and extreme weather. The report highlights the negative impacts on socio-economic development, migration and displacement, and food security on the land and marine ecosystems. These, my friends, are frightening findings, and 2021 is shaping up to be another similar year. As small island development states that are susceptible to climate change, we have to take notice and talk about it. But we have also to make decisions to implement appropriate corrective actions. These decisive actions must ensure that our upcoming housing developments include climate resilience and water adaptation features, such as rainwater harvesting, greywater cycling, recycling, and water-efficient utilities. It is also imperative that we see the ratification of the draft National Housing Policy, which aims to support and promote sustainable and climate-resilient housing developments within the National Climate Change Framework, to encourage and support the development of housing solutions and supported infrastructure that are climate resilient, to encourage the retrofitting of housing solutions to bolster resilience to the effects of climate change, to promote practices within the housing sector that mitigate the anthropogenic sources of climate change and climate variability. At the JN Foundation, we have been playing our part through the Water Project Jamaica, which seeks to promote the efficient use of water in Jamaican households and to increase climate-resilient housing across the country. This JN initiative is the first practical effort at mainstreaming access to proper climate solutions through knowledge applications, financing of practical research and development, product development, and access to climate-smart products by housing developers and purchasers alike. We have assembled a truly global panel of experts who have walked the walk, and we are going to unleash them during the upcoming summit as we focus on practical solutions for our long-standing challenges in the water sector for the benefit of our people and the society. Thank you all for attending, and we hope at our upcoming water summit we'll get the conversation started and will be the catalyst to launch tangible actions to make our country more climate resilient, and in particular, bring about sustainable water resources availability for socio-economic development. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. As our chairman shared, the summit is going to be on May 13 and 14, and it's going to be a virtual event, which means that all stakeholders, all persons who are interested in water, climate conservation, and sustainability can log in to view the event on Zoom. And in coming days, you will get details about how to register and how to make sure that you participate in this wonderful event. I now invite a very important stakeholder the JN Foundation has been really honored to have to engage about this matter relating to water, Minister Pernell Charles Jr., who has portfolio responsibility for housing and climate change. Minister Charles is here today to talk to us about the event and also about the GOJ's agenda for climate change and sustainability. Minister Charles?
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Let me acknowledge, of course, our chairman of the Jamaica National Foundation, Mr. Paris Leoai, General Manager, Ms. Allen, Ms. Cornelia Walters, and others relating to the water project. The thousands of persons in front of me here, this crowd is packed today for the virtual summit, wherever you are. And Mr. Jarrett and all of the team members from Jamaica National. And I want to acknowledge my climate change division that has been very supportive through the PPCR and the other partnerships that we have built between the private and public sector. And there has never been a time when the discussion on climate change and resetting our thinking, building resilient sustainability has been more important than now. When you think of the world we are living in now, 10 years ago, this would just be a movie that we would see whether or not we'd attend. Would I buy a ticket for the pandemic? but we're living it. And it is therefore critical for us to engage and advance the discussion on how we are going to ensure our recovery, our movement forward is sustainable. Let's break away from just using the phraseology or the words, Mr. Sangster, and let us move towards action. And that's what the water project has done. That's what Jamaica National has done. And I want every other corporate stakeholder to be very jealous. You should, because JN, through the foundation, through Cornelia and the team, through the effort and strategic partnerships that they have built, are walking the walk, not talking the talk. Imagine if all of us, Chairman, could walk the walk, where Jamaica would be in a few years. And so I acknowledge the amazing work being done to advance this discussion. And I want to congratulate you and thank you, Ms. Allen and team, for what you are doing, and Uname Gordon and the team at my ministry for what they continue to do in advancing the climate change agenda. Just last week, Jamaica was invited. Our Prime Minister was one of 40 selected leaders that was invited to the climate summit by President Biden. And it is a recognition of our strong voice and leadership globally. But what it means also is we have to ensure that if we are seen as leaders, regionally and globally, that we are doing what we need to do at home. So when we are interrogated, Ms. Allen, we'll be able to say that we have the projects, we have the activities, the programs, the legislation, the policies, and the partnerships that reflect the kind of leadership that Jamaica is known for. Our Prime Minister noted then the need for meaningful climate action and that it has never been greater. And he articulated issues and defined the actions required for us to advance mitigation and adaptation activities. And General Manager of the Foundation mentioned in her remarks that there is a need for action now. Chairman, you mentioned small island developing states. Across the world, we are the lowest emitters, but we are the most vulnerable to the impact of climate change. So when you're speaking about the flooding, the intense drought, the more frequent activities, it is we, the small island developing states like Jamaica, who feel it the most, even though we are the ones that are contributing the least to the climate crisis. And so Jamaica stands tall in advancing the discussion on climate financing because it takes cash to care. We have the distinction, I believe, of the UN Secretary General calling on our Prime Minister to be one of 3 co-chairs globally advancing the climate finance discussion towards $100 billion that is required annually to build up our infrastructure so we can withstand the impact of climate change. We know, we see it, we live it, we drive on the roads. You know that a little rainfall and it's like a storm. So we have to anticipate the increased storm activity, the sea level rise, and all of these things will impact us because many of our Jamaicans live where? On the coastline. So our residential and commercial activity is going to be impacted and it is exposed. And that is why we say that we are among the most vulnerable because of where we are located geographically and because of all of those things that we define as assets, Chairman. The same things that cause everyone to want to come to Jamaica, the beach, the sand, the sun, the sea. Those are the things that are also the elements that we have as great vulnerability. So building resilience in Jamaica is not an option. It's not a choice. It is an imperative. It is critical. It is essential. It is a must. And the climate change issue is a serious issue. And so I'm here today on behalf of the government, on behalf of my ministry, the dynamic Ministry of Housing, Urban Renewal, Environment and Climate Change, to give our 100% support for this summit. Because the discussion on climate action is an essential one. It's one that must take place not just here virtually, but we intend that if you are watching us, if you're listening to us, you should now carry that discussion to your children, to your husband, to your school, to your church, to your community. Every partner will have to be involved, every Jamaican, every tourist, everyone, because this is a global issue. And so, as a country, we are setting the framework. You would have heard Chairman speak about the housing policy. We are advancing that housing policy rigorously with the intention that it will be the catalyst for a new thought process, for a new thinking around how we move now the sustainability and the innovation, integrating it now into how we operate as a norm. Jamaica must stand tall. Why is it that we cannot be the ones creating, inventing? We don't have to look outside. I saw a young man who had an article in the Star recently where he was building his own vehicles. I don't know if you saw it. And he had the remote and it was moving back and forth. And my son saw it on the iPad. And you know what happened? Immediately he said, "Daddy, who did that?" I said, "It's a young man in Jamaica." He said, "Well, I want to build." You see how quickly my 5-year-old, seeing it as a reality that another Jamaican built that, in his mind it opened up that he could do it. That is what we want when it comes on to the discussion on climate change and sustainability and innovation. We want every Jamaican to know you can participate, you can contribute to building resilience in your own home. So when you talk about water efficiency, don't wait. When you talk about adaptation and utilizing the kind of equipment that will increase water efficiency, get it done. I know that the water project has done a lot in the competition and otherwise just in discussions across the nation and also in the distribution of support materials for persons to be able to increase their own efficiency at home. And we as a country, we need to increase, Ms. Allen, and further diversify the mix of renewable energy, particularly as it relates to transportation, energy and industry. Our goal must be carbon neutrality by 2050. And it's an ambitious goal, but you have to set the ambition high. So while we work to expand the options for home ownership, we will be factoring in climate resilience for low-income developments and others. And it is our goal as a government to make sure that when we build, it includes the rainwater harvesting, it includes the catchment and the storage facilities, and our building codes and our zoning regulations will compel persons to make sure they integrate the kind of facilities that make sense. And it will save money and make money. Water security is essential. You look behind me, you see it. I think it is 3 words that they say make up the best phrases, catchphrases. Water is life. Anybody, 2 years old, you say to them, water, what's water? They can tell you. Life, they can tell you. Is, they can tell you. And that's an essential phraseology. Water is life, and if it is life, then let's make sure that we factor it into all that we do. So rainwater harvesting, storage facilities, improving water security for residents and business, that's essential for us. And we want to be advancing the low carbon footprint and utilizing alternative energy. That can only be done if we appreciate the need for financing, but if more so, we appreciate the need for partnership. And that partnership between the government, the private sector, academia, non-governmental organizations, and all stakeholders must continue to solve critical problems. I tell students that I speak to all the time that the definition of a problem is something that can be what? solved. And so any of our problems can be solved because that's how they are defined. And we have to move for our partnerships to collaborate on solving critical problems and strengthening our ability to build resilience. I want to thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Like all good politicians, I could go on, but perhaps I can feel you virtually asking me to move on to the next speaker, even though you enjoyed my conversation dearly. So as I close, the deliberations this morning will provide an essential platform for us to talk, think, and above all, act, to realize the challenges, but to seize the opportunities that climate change can bring. I want to thank you for inviting me to speak this morning. I look forward to the outcomes, and I want to leave by charging you, Chairman, and my good friend Earl, who's not here, and Miss Allen, who I met, and Cornelia and others, enlist every single member of the Jamaica National Staff as an ambassador, as an advocate. And I know you have. Make sure that every single customer that interacts with you, every partner, whoever you buy tissue from, whoever is cleaning, whoever is coming in to change the bulb, everyone that steps through your door must become an advocate and a partner with a new mindset and thinking towards these issues. We want to do what Jamaica National Foundation and the Water Project is doing. Lead by example. Don't just talk the talk, walk the walk. So join us at my ministry, Housing, Urban Renewal, Environment and Climate Change, as we spread the message for climate action. And that climate change isn't the villain. Just like the pandemic, it's not the villain, it is we who have to make the change. So I thank you.
Charles? Oh, I forgot. I'm sorry. Thank you, Minister Charles. I'm very proud to advise that Minister Charles Jamaica National has been walking the walk and talking the talk, not only through this project, but I will let you know that this very building here at Belmont Road is one of the greenest buildings in Kingston. And the principles that we use in constructing it to make sure that we use the air, the sunlight, that we recycle well and all of that, and especially in an environment of COVID, that we cleanse the air that is inside. Those principles we have also used on our sister property on the corner of Oxford and Belmont Road as well. So we are getting there. I would like to just take a few minutes as we continue, just before we wrap up and take our questions from the media, to read through the call to action for our summit in May. Now, we've mentioned earlier that we are honored to have had the support of the government of Jamaica and the continued involvement of Minister Charles and his team at the ministry. We ultimately want the government of Jamaica to ensure that housing units constructed by agencies of the government feature climate change and climate resilient features as a minimum standard. So it means whichever unit is being presented to the market, whether it be a low-income housing solution, mid-range or high or a hotel, as long as the government is involved as a minimum, the construction of those units, it allows the units to feature low-flow taps, to consider solar power, to look at renewable energy, and of course, where possible, we would want that to be standard for everybody. We also want the government to treat as urgent the ratification of the draft national policy, specifically G1.22, which aims to support and promote sustainable climate resilient housing developments within the national climate change framework. And we really want this to be focused just alongside our carbon neutrality objective, because we understand that they are both connected and they are both critical to the future of the country. Thank you again, Minister, Chairman. Thank you for joining us. I would now welcome any questions that we may have from persons in the room as well as those online. By way of information, I'd like to advise you or invite you to visit the waterprojectja.com website, where you can access information about the summit, including the agenda, speakers, timing, panels, etc. And that information should be up on the website today. So it's www.waterprojectja.com. You can also visit the Jane Foundation website, janefoundation.com, where you will find information about the summit. We are available at janefoundation.group, janefoundation@janegroup.com as well for questions via email. If there are no live questions, we will do the follow-up later on, and we look forward to seeing you on May 13 and 14 as we explore issues related to climate change and water resource management. Thank you.